Good day, everyone. I'm Bob Ackerman, the editor-in-chief of Signal Magazine, and I'd like to welcome you to our Signal Magazine webinar titled The Federal Campus, Reimagined and Cloud-Enabled. While early adopters of cloud environments often cite the plethora of benefits from hosted computing, many government agencies have just begun to migrate their enterprise campus and branch networks into cloud-enabled service platforms, using either public or private cloud deployments. In today's webinar, which is sponsored by Juniper Networks, an expert will discuss the company's new architecture, Unite, an agile and secure network architecture that allows organizations to deploy cloud applications and services through a single network management platform. It enables users to seamlessly integrate cloud performance, automation, and simplified management for enterprise networking, along with improved network security. Now, those of you who have participated in past Signal webinars know about our modern audience interface that offers useful capabilities. At the bottom of the console are a number of widgets, especially the green Resource List widget, which you can use right now to download slides from today's webinar, along with a white paper, a Unite solution brief, and links to the Juniper, Unite, and Juniper Networks federal websites. Most importantly, throughout the presentation, webinar attendees are encouraged to submit questions electronically through the Q&A box on the webinar console. When our expert is finished with his presentation, he will answer as many questions as time permits during this hour-long session. Our presenter is Tarek Radwan, Product Marketing Manager at Juniper Networks. Tarek leads enterprise product and portfolio marketing at Juniper Networks, covering switching, security, network management, and the ecosystem of technology alliances. This includes LAN, unified communications and collaboration, network and policy access control, security, and management. He also has experience in the semiconductor capital equipment industry in process development and software engineering. So with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Tarek Radwan. Tarek?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you all for joining us today. It's really a privilege to speak to you, and I'm very happy and excited to talk to you about Juniper's Unite architecture, which in essence, it's a new story, it's a vision, it's a comprehensive reference architecture for enterprise campus and branch environments. And I believe that Unite will help federal agencies achieve a cloud-enabled enterprise, essentially an on-ramp to the cloud, allowing you to achieve the benefits of cloud and cloud applications. This includes things like the efficiency, the agility, and the innovation, all while remaining secure. So let's talk a little bit about cloud. Everything is moving to the cloud, and it's not hype anymore. Analyst research shows this, and we hear it from our customers every day. From public to private to hybrid, enterprises everywhere are adopting cloud into their operating models. And it's a great opportunity for federal agencies as well. This move to cloud applications makes the enterprise campus network more critical than ever as the on-ramp to cloud-based applications. Network virtualization is transforming enterprise IT. This cutting-edge technology offers the springboard to the flexibility and the agility promised by cloud. With virtualization, networks now evolve into new deployment and management paradigms, and the enterprise campus and branch reap the benefits of the data center and the cloud, including centralized control and visibility. Also, the widespread adoption of mobile devices and social media drives reliance on cloud and cloud applications. But when you combine this with BYOD, the Internet of Things, also IoT, and the increasing sophistication of threats, now everything that's transmitted through the network becomes a potential security risk. Ultimately, the goal of adopting these innovations is to create an agile network infrastructure, to make the IT organization a business enabler. An enterprise network transformation is about freeing up OpEx away from running costly networks and towards developing applications that help you run the business to better serve the citizens. Now, in fact, for federal agencies, adopting cloud, it's not just an opportunity, it's a mandate. Here I just want to remind you all about what former U.S. CIO Vivek Kundra talked about in his federal cloud computing strategy. In terms of efficiency, cloud improves server utilization, consolidates multiple disparate systems, and improves productivity by simplifying application development and management. Cloud also gives you agility, the ability to scale up and scale down new applications and services. This allows agencies to quickly respond to their critical needs. And then there's the innovation that's spurred by cloud. In the private sector, this has led to many disruptions and new business models. You've all heard of Uber, who's disrupting taxi service in every city in the world. Yet, Uber owns no capital in vehicles. Or consider a company like Airbnb, who doesn't own hotels or property. I would like to highlight Mr. Kundra's conclusion, where he states, to paraphrase Sir Arthur Eddington, the physicist who confirmed Einstein's theory of general relativity, cloud computing will not just be more innovative than we imagine. It will be more innovative than we can imagine. Closely coupled with innovations in cloud, agencies must also deal with the increasing sophistication and variability of threats. Threats are everywhere, and hackers are not just individuals operating from a basement. Now they're organized businesses building sophisticated software and systems that can infiltrate an enterprise to steal data for financial gain. They have and they can socially engineer their way into your internal network. And the variability of threats range from large organized systematic attacks to employees who may have accessed a public Wi-Fi and then have been unknowingly infected with malware. They then infect your network as they walk in the building and their device connects. It could also be a well-meaning employee who is developing an application and unknowingly downloaded open source code from an illegitimate download site. We think that the best and only security approach has to assume that threats are already inside your enterprise perimeter. And it must assume that new types of threats will pop up every day. This means your security approach needs to be more nimble than ever and more decisive once a breach is found. Also, your data needs to be securely transported across the network. Secure network transport is important to all businesses, but even more so in regulated environments such as yours. Keeping data secure is key. And if we look at what's happening with cybercrime, we see that it's getting worse. Looking at the stats, we see that cyber criminals are getting faster. 60% of the initial compromise happen in under a minute. And there's a security incident every 7 minutes. More organizations are being attacked as cyber criminals are casting wider nets. 43% of organizations experienced a data breach in the past year. Now there are 6 successful data breaches happening per day. And finally, cybercrime is expensive for you, going up about 10% a year. The average cost due to a data breach is around $20 million. And what's the result? Increased costs, lost revenue, reputation damage, performance degrades. You get things like heavy fines, and it can even cost you your job. Here I list some of the key federal challenges and initiatives around your IT infrastructure and operations that I've learned about. Agencies are under pressure to control costs of the network, which translates into effectively delivering more network services with less resources. It includes things like minimizing total cost of ownership, improving utilization, improving uptime, and all of this while supporting mission-critical environments. You're also tasked with modernizing your networks. Essentially, your legacy networks are holding you back, preventing you from being agile and being able to scale your operations. Of course, security, privacy, and compliance is top of mind. With the increasing surface area vulnerability and attack, security is part of every conversation now. And, of course, as we already discussed, implementing cloud for better application delivery and efficient collaboration to foster innovation is an essential initiative. All of these challenges are exacerbated by complex legacy networks, limited IT resources, and shrinking IT budgets. So let's look at some of the challenges in your network today. Today, the enterprise campus network is built in a very brittle and manual way. The architectures are complex with multiple layers of VLANs and multiple management points that require different tools. It lacks scalability, reliability, and visibility. Any change to the network can break something, or worse yet, open a security gap. Even if you're upgrading devices to ensure you have the latest models for performance and features, the architecture is still based on technologies from the past, and it's plagued with complexity. So how do you transform your enterprise campus network? Well, you need to adopt a simplified architecture to start building agility. And using the lessons learned from the data center and leveraging fabric technologies, Juniper has introduced a simplified architecture. We virtually collapsed the core, distribution, and access, resulting in a single, simple-to-manage platform. We call this technology Junos Fusion Enterprise. Junos Fusion Enterprise is built on the 802.1br protocol and essentially allows the access switches to behave as port extensions of the core switch. You get centralized configuration, provisioning, management, and policy, all on a single managed device. And our Network Director product manages one or more instances of a Junos Fusion Enterprise fabric. Junos Fusion Enterprise can also serve as the core for your on-premise data center. For example, say you have a local data center with 5, 10, or maybe 15 racks. Then each of the top-of-rack switches can be connected to the same Fusion Enterprise fabric as satellite devices. This allows you to truly collapse operations by consolidating your network into one logical device that includes both the data center top-of-rack switches as well as the wiring closet access switches in your campus. Junos Space Network Director provides you with a single pane of glass view into your entire Junos Fusion Enterprise-based network. Essentially, it allows you to apply consistent, unified policies across your entire enterprise network, which may be composed of one or more Fusion Enterprise fabrics, even if these fabrics are located in different cities. Thus, Network Director further simplifies management and picks up where Fusion Enterprise left off in terms of collapsing the entire network into a single logical device to manage. Network Director takes simplified operations to a massive scale. For example, if you need to add a filter to a VLAN, you make the change in Network Director and it proliferates that change throughout your entire network, applying that new policy to change to every Fusion Enterprise fabric. A Network Director is easy to use with wizard-based workflows that simplify configuration and provisioning. Now, using standards-based EVPN technology, multiple buildings configured with Junos Fusion Enterprise technology can be interconnected, even with a Junos Fusion data center fabric, to form a Junos L3 fabric. In such a configuration, all enterprise buildings and data centers can follow uniform VLANs, configurations, and policies, rather than each building having separate VLANs and policies. The result? You extend your EVPN capabilities to the access, which allows you to consistently segment your traffic across all sites, right down to the access layer. Essentially, the access switches inherit capabilities of the core switch without actually having to implement these advanced features. For example, you're able to separate your guest access VLAN from your corporate VLAN. You get to apply uniform VLAN configurations and policies from one location, and all the access devices automatically enforce these policies. This ability to create and manage consistent, coherent network segments that span the globe is truly elegant simplification. And I'd like to remind you that for smaller deployments, Juniper also offers its popular and powerful virtual chassis technology, which simplifies the network by enabling up to 10 switches to be interconnected and operated as a single logical device. When applied to a traditional multi-tier enterprise network, virtual chassis can reduce the number of managed devices by up to 90%. Both Junos Fusion Enterprise and virtual chassis rely on common building blocks, the EX series switches. In fact, if today you have an enterprise network built with an EX9200 core and EX4300 access switches that are grouped in 10-member virtual chassis configurations, in the future, you can simply upgrade the EX9200 core switches and convert the entire network to a Junos Fusion Enterprise fabric. So now that you can clearly see your entire network as a single logical switch, you're also able to secure it at any point and at any network layer. Malware and bad actors can lurk in many layers of the network and cannot always be caught in a traditional overlay solution using firewalls at the perimeter. A much more effective way is to immediately segment out the intruder or bad actor by putting them into a quarantine area, for example. Imagine a cage dropping on an intruder. The technology exists, and it's much easier to use existing network capabilities rather than creating yet another layer of complication and operational headaches. Again, since your entire network can be viewed as one logical device, securing it is simpler because you're able to secure at all points and all layers. You can instantly update and deploy access policy throughout the entire network. And you now have greater visibility, which allows for faster location and isolation of an intruder. Juniper can provide visibility and centralized network policy control using a policy engine and SDN controller functionality to stop threats faster and more effectively from a cost and efficiency perspective. In essence, Juniper delivers a pervasive and dynamic security apparatus, one that reduces time to protect. We offer a comprehensive solution that centralizes and automates security. First, with our SRX series, which are available as both a physical or virtual product, we provide essential layer 1 through 3 firewall protection for your perimeter. And the physical and virtual flavors have full feature parity, so you won't lose any functionality. In the end, you get the right size firewall for your requirements. Next, running on the SRX, we also provide advanced application security services, including things like AppSecure, IPS, antivirus, anti-spam, web filtering, all of these protecting your layers 4 through 7 applications. And Security Director delivers centralized management of all your security services, as well as centralized policy. It also features application visibility, threat maps, and correlated events reporting. Lastly, we also offer comprehensive threat defense in the cloud. Our Spotlight Secure product provides the latest threat intelligence to the SRX series firewalls using live feeds. And our Sky Advanced Threat Prevention scans all files and application downloads for malware and bad actors using advanced cloud-based sandboxing. Once you've simplified and secured your campus infrastructure, then what about your branch locations? These remote locations typically have little to no IT expertise. In the past, to have a uniform network in a branch as is in the campus, essentially you needed to replicate everything from the campus into the branch. And actually, since this wasn't really possible, in came the all-in-one Swiss Army knife box at the branch. You would assume one box gives you best-of-breed technology, but in fact it doesn't. These boxes are expensive, and you end up paying for functionality that you might not necessarily need. If you needed new functionality or new software capabilities, you would have to do a massive refresh of these locations every 3 to 5 years. The other approach is to deploy best-of-breed technologies. But then there are many boxes at your branch. Now making integration a challenge and massive refreshes are still a problem. Once we've created a secure and agile enterprise campus, all of its functionality can be easily extended to the branch. The beauty of simplifying the secure and agile enterprise campus is to enable it to easily connect to any service in the cloud. The enterprise campus, data center, and/or cloud can now become the network services platform for all branch locations. With local edge agents in the form of CloudEnabled Branch platform, all network services can now be served from private, public, or hybrid clouds. You get no costly heavy platforms at each branch, no management headaches across each branch, and instead it's easy updates and easy uniform security policy access across every branch. Also, virtual WAN routing and security devices provide the flexibility to simply and seamlessly extend the public or private cloud services into the campus and branch locations. In the end, the enterprise IT departments becomes the service provider for their company's campus and branch locations. With Juniper, you get an open, flexible network. The Juniper Unite architecture provides an open framework to help customers evolve their existing networks to cloud-enabled enterprises. Through the Open Convergence Framework, or OCF for short, we offer a rich ecosystem of technology alliance partners that help you build a best-of-breed solution for your institution. Our open APIs offer you choice to integrate technologies for wireless access, unified communications, network access and policy, as well as security services. For wireless LAN, we're proud to offer 3 of the top 4 vendors, including Aruba, who also carries federal certification. For network access and policy, we also offer Pulse Secure, which is fully integrated with our SRX firewalls and EX switches. And if you prefer an Aruba solution, we offer tight integration with Aruba's ClearPass product. We also have technology partnerships with Attivo and Vectra, who offer post-infection solutions to identify and stop advanced threats that are already in the network. And Attivo is fully integrated with the SRX product. Attivo, essentially, they offer a honeypot appliance that masquerades as an endpoint device on the network, acting as a decoy to identify threats. If, for example, a botnet is detected, Attivo works with the SRX to isolate and eliminate the threat. Ultimately, the aim of our Open Convergence Framework is to offer you choice of advanced technologies that satisfy your unique requirements. Enterprise network transformation is here, and it's time for federal agencies to step into the future towards building the cloud-enabled federal enterprise. Juniper's strategy is to develop and offer you the choice in best-of-breed technology to make IT a business asset. Innovation in simplified network design allows for agile, programmable infrastructure that will serve as a flexible network platform to build any service, whether it's rapid application development or rapid application deployment. A simplified network provides the capability for the most effective security detection and remediation for existing and future applications. The Juniper Unite cloud-enabled enterprise provides scalability and resiliency to keep up with the demands of cloud applications and user expectations. We think it's dead simple to manage by removing complexity in the network, which reduces operational costs associated with today's brittle and complex networks. It is more effective and efficient in securing your networks by giving you the visibility and the ability to program it to defend against any threat or bad actors. And finally, through our Open Convergence Framework, it provides open APIs to integrate into best-of-breed technologies for wireless LAN, unified communications, and security, which gives you choice on the solutions that you need. Also, our professional services team and partners have network assessments that can help you design your network using a pragmatic approach with common building blocks to optimize CapEx and OpEx, while building flexibility to integrate with existing and future application requirements. We believe Juniper is the cloud enabler for your enterprise network. We have plenty of time for questions, so Bob, over to you.
Okay, thank you. Again, everyone in our audience, I want to remind you to use the Q&A box on the console. Please feel free to put your questions in there. We have a couple already, but before I get to those, I am going to exercise moderator's prerogative here and ask one of my own. Essentially, you described it as creating the appearance of having a single switch, this to solve the complexity and security issues. As networks change, as they grow, will you have to change your software to maintain that single switch approach, or will it simply adapt automatically?
Well, of course, as you get more improvements to the software, to the network design, and perhaps new services, you would be upgrading the software on the switch. But again, the beauty of Junos Fusion Enterprise is that you don't have to go and touch every single access device in the network. You only do it once. You only interface with the EX9200 core switch, for example. And all that upgrade or the software actions needed to perform that upgrade is proliferated out to all of the different devices throughout the network. So it really even simplifies things such as software upgrades on the network.
Okay, so regardless of the new devices, new capabilities, what have you, it all comes down to that single switch approach automatically.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind, we're not saying that you literally physically have just one switch device. You still have access switches in the closets. You have the core switch in the main part of the building. The physical infrastructure is there. And in fact, all the cabling is also there. However, now you just manage the entire network logically as if it's one device. Right.
Got that. Okay. All right. Well, let me ask someone else's question here. Someone wants to know, when will Junos Fusion Enterprise be released?
Yeah, that's a good question. It will be available sometime the first half. I'm guessing sometime between the months of April and May when we'll start to be shipping that product.
Okay. We have another question on that. Can Junos Fusion Enterprise work with an existing non-Juniper infrastructure, or do I need to rip and replace?
No, in fact, Junos Fusion can be connected to an existing network infrastructure. So let's say you have devices from vendor C. Those switches can be connected to the Junos Fusion architecture. It would just be a non-fusion connection, and you can build that connection using common redundancy, things such as STP if needed. Anyway, it does not prevent you from using your existing infrastructure, so it does behave well. It even works with Juniper switches as well, so you can actually connect to, for example, an existing virtual chassis configuration.
Funny you should mention that, because we have a question that addresses that concern. Our questions so far are focused on Junos Fusion Enterprise. Someone asked, today I have Juniper switches using virtual chassis technology. Can I convert this to Junos Fusion Enterprise?
Yes. The answer is yes, assuming that the switches are Junos Fusion ready. And the example that I gave earlier was using an EX9200 core switch and EX4300s. So let's say you have 4 floors in the building, and each floor has, say, 4 different EX4300s, and they're configured in a virtual chassis config. And in the basement, you have the EX9200 core switch, and they're all kind of interconnected, each of the 4 floors. Those 4 virtual chassis members are connected. Without touching any of the wiring, topologies, the cabling, all you would need to do is essentially upgrade the EX9200, applying the Junos Fusion software upgrade to it, and magically that whole configuration, including all of the access switches on the different floors, those virtual chassis configurations magically convert into a Junos Fusion one-switch device. Today, the EX4300 is the only access switch that can be used in a Junos Fusion architecture. However, in the future, we will be introducing new access switches at different capabilities and performance levels that also match, that can also play within the Junos Fusion configuration.
Okay. Another question. Can you talk more about the CloudEnabled Branch? Is there a product for this today?
Yeah. In fact, a couple weeks ago, we did just introduce a product. Essentially, it's a cloud CPE device, a customer premise equipment device, called the NFX series. And essentially what this is, it's like a switch, like the EX2200 switch. But in addition to that, it also includes onboard CPU processor, a 6-core Haswell. It has some onboard memory and storage, and it allows us to then run virtualized services at a branch location. It will come preloaded. It comes preloaded with vSRX, which is the virtual version of the SRX product. And as we mentioned, the vSRX has full feature parity with the physical SRX product. And so in addition to running that virtualized service, so now you can run the vSRX and have a complete branch solution. It can also run other virtualized services. If needed, you can run VMX, for example, or third-party applications, third-party virtualized services. This product, we just announced it. It will be managed by our Contrail product, and we will be talking more about it next year as it applies to the enterprise. So we kind of did release it in a service provider use case, but it will also be playing in the enterprise as well.
Okay. Let me also throw in another question of my own. Obviously, you have the virtual single switch approach here, simplifying so many aspects of management, and you say that improves security. Are your potential security solutions limited to Juniper, or is it transparent to other security solutions that are available?
So if a customer is using other security devices or services from other companies, we will be able to interoperate with that. Not an issue. However, what we think is that Juniper is able to provide a more comprehensive, stronger solution because we have full visibility of the entire network as well. And I'll give you an example. For example, our switches, the EX series switches, can act as enforcement points. So they become policy enforcement points that help you to essentially take security into every part of the network. So you're able to, for example, in the future, if you see you have an Internet of Things device, say you have an intelligent light fixture. If that light fixture all of a sudden is trying to access the HR database, the network can go, wait a minute, what's a light fixture trying to do, trying to access an HR database? And so with that built-in knowledge of the network, we would be able to apply policies where we're able to enforce and say, no, light switch, you can't access this database. And we kind of get the win that, hey, maybe somebody did hack this device and now it's trying to exfiltrate data, for example. So there's a lot of cool things that we can do just because we have the ability to innovate and create innovations and develop on both the network in terms of the EX series switches as well as our security devices.
Okay, got it. Okay, we have another question here. Do you know if DISA has approved this product for use?
At this point, the constituent components of the Junos Fusion Enterprise, as I mentioned, the EX9200 and the 4300, those are currently certified for use. So, yeah.
Those are the essential components, so they're all set.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, one last question coming from my direction, unless others pop up. Simply put, what is the next step in this system's development? You've got what you feel is a key enabler here, but I doubt you expect this technology to be static. So what lies ahead?
Well, I think that, in terms of the simplification, that's the first key step in order for companies in the enterprise and, of course, federal agencies to really take advantage of things like cloud and cloud applications. It's really all about simplification. It's about changing the focus of the IT operations from just keeping that infrastructure going and dealing with operational headache of updating VLANs into adopting something like Junos Fusion Enterprise, which simplifies the operations. It really brings sanity back, we believe, to IT operators. And so that first step of simplification is going to be huge in 2016 as we roll out Junos Fusion Enterprise. Of course, we're still able to provide simplification, again, as I mentioned, with our virtual chassis technology, which, again, it's very popular, very powerful, allowing you to achieve up to 90% device simplification for managed devices, with Junos Fusion Enterprise actually giving you that 100% reduction in the number of devices. So we see great things coming from Juniper in 2016 to simplify, allow you to secure the network, and allow you to really take advantage of cloud and build on that innovation.
Okay. Well, I hate to be anticlimactic, but something else has just popped up. What level of integration exists with an access solution from Aruba?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, as you know, we have partnered back in 2014 with Aruba when we announced the Open Convergence framework. And so a customer who's using an Aruba wireless LAN infrastructure, they can take advantage of Aruba's ClearPass product to provide policy and access control. And so what we do is we have integration with our EX series switches and our SRX platform, our SRX firewalls. And this allows them to essentially receive policy information from Aruba's ClearPass and enforce that. So our EX switches and SRX platform can become policy enforcement points of Aruba ClearPass information. In terms of management, we are able to manage and see Aruba access points from our Network Director product. In terms of actually making some configuration changes or updates to specific information in a wireless access point from Aruba, what we do offer is integration with Aruba's Airwave from Network Director. So, and this is what we call a context-based, context-aware integration. So a user, say, is within Network Director and they notice that they're having some issues on an access point. When they click on that access point from Network Director in order to see more detailed information, this causes Airwave to cross-launch. So it creates, it launches Airwave, the Airwave product from Aruba, with all the context information loaded. The opposite is also true. Say a user is using Airwave product, the Aruba Airwave product, to troubleshoot some issue on the network, and they notice that one of the switches, the EX series switches, is giving them trouble. When they double-click on that EX series switch from the Aruba Airwave product, that causes Network Director to launch. So that's a cross-launch of Network Director with all that context-aware information loaded.
Okay. One other question has popped up. Is there any specific framework do you follow, like TOGAF or Zachman?
We will have to get back to that question. Would need to find out for sure if we do have that type of framework.
Okay. All right, then. Well, that wraps up all our questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, that's it. I think we talked a lot today. It was really great to speak to you all in the federal space, and we really believe that the federal campus can be reimagined and can be cloud-enabled with Juniper Unite.
Okay. Well, that concludes our Signal Magazine webinar for today. Tarek, I want to thank you for your presentation, and thanks to all of you for joining us. Now, our presenter will try to respond directly by email to the unanswered question that we have in the queue, and all of you can link to the archived version of this webinar, along with previous Signal webinars, on the Signal Magazine website at www.afcia.org/signal/webinar. Thank you again, and have a good day.